Hey, this is Ivan Bates here from my channel Ride the Lightning 94, and I recently was in a video with a buddy of mine. I'm gonna link his YouTube channel uh, into the comments for this one. His channel is all about comic books, and he actually inspired me. He's a really cool dude. Me and my brother spent this evening and late into this morning with him at his house, and he was so cool. He let us come over and just check out his comic collection and read whatever we wanted, and we hung out and did a video together. So it actually inspired me to make a top 10 video of comic books that I own, and some are singles. um I think two of them are trades. Some of the singles stand basically for a whole series, but whatever. So we're going to kick this off with number 10. This is Godzilla, King of the Monsters, issue 1 by Marvel Comics. I can't remember exactly what year this came out in. It came out in like 1977. There it is on the cover. And I don't even know really why I like this so much. The book is so horribly cheesy. Um, it's even got a character in there. I think his name is like Captain Dum Dum. I mean, it's ridiculous, but growing up, I've always been a fan of like really, really big monsters in sci-fi, like colossal shaped monsters like King Kong, Godzilla, just shit like that. And I really dig old cheesy comic book covers. And so when I found out there was a Godzilla series, an old cheesy Godzilla series, I had to have them. I have several of these. They only made like 20 some, and I'm going to eventually collect them all. But yeah, anyway, that's my number 10. Hold on. And as always, dipping in my videos is my pastime. Let's go long cut wintergreen tonight. Alright, number 9. This is Web of Spider-Man number 1. I actually have it signed by Charles Vess, the guy who drew the cover. Charles Vess is actually from a place near where I live, Lynchburg, Virginia. Mm. And my dad always told me that when he was collecting comic books, this came out in 1984. He always told me about this cover for Web of Spider-Man number 1 and how awesome it was. That had Spider-Man perched on top of the building in the black suit, and finally I got to see it, and I thought it was the shit. I mean, I'm a sucker for really good covers. Some of my favorite comic books are my favorite just because of the covers, and so I got a copy of it at a flea market here in town, and then got it signed. I got to meet Charles Vess, and got it signed by him. So yeah, that is number 9 there. All right, number 8 is actually a trade, and I actually got this. Let's see, yeah, I got this signed this year. Ghost Rider Road to Damnation. I actually have issue 1 signed, but that's the only one. But the reason why this is on my list is the artist Clayton Crane is one of the best comic book artists I have ever seen in my life. His style is so distinctive. As soon as you see it, boom, you know that's motherfucking Clayton Crane. And he's actually done, to my knowledge, 2 Ghost Riders. I have them both. This one, The Road to Damnation, came out first, and then he did Trail of Tears, which is a Western story. But this was the Ghost Rider that, you know, everybody knows and that I knew, on the motorcycle. And just his art in this and the way he draws Ghost Rider, I mean, it's like you can honestly feel the dude's pain. And it was excellent. And of course, you know, Garth Ennis wrote it, and God knows Garth Ennis is one of my favorite writers. I got some more of him later on in this, but there's his signature there. I actually met him this past year at Charlotte Comic Con, Heroes Con, and cool dude, down to earth. And he signed a bunch of my books and my brother's books, and we just chatted for a while. All right, let's see. That's number 8. All right, number 7. Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane Spider-Man number 1. I got it signed. I met Todd McFarlane at a Baltimore Comic Con. The reason why this is on here, this is the beginning of the Torment story arc, where Spider-Man fights the Lizard. Todd McFarlane's first shot, I do believe, at writing his own story as well as, penciling and inking and shit. And the reason this is on this list is number one, Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man is my favorite fucking Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane is one of my favorite artists. Don't really appreciate him as an executive of a company. I don't appreciate a lot of the stuff he's done with Image Comics, but regardless, to say some of my first roots in comic books came from my dad showing me some of Todd McFarlane shit. And this was one of the first Spider-Man stories I read. My dad used to have this Torment trade with the first 5 issues of his Spider-Man run. And when I first read that, it blew me away, his art and just how gruesome he made the Lizard. I had never seen a Spider-Man villain just evil and I'm out to fuck shit up. And so that's why that's on there. So that's number 7. All right, number 6 is a book that is much older than I am. This is Batman. Can you guess what issue? 232. I picked this up at Baltimore Comic Con, I do believe. What I really like about this, number one, is the cover. That cover is just fucking awesome. That's probably my favorite and the best Batman cover of all time. Um, and I just love it. And of course, it's first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's al Ghul is easily in my top 5 Batman villains of all time. I've always thought Ra's al Ghul was just a cool motherfucker. The whole idea of the Lazarus Pit just blew my mind when I first found out about it. I actually found out about him through the Batman animated series I grew up watching. They did the basically the TV show version of this storyline, and I never knew how heavily it was modeled after the actual issue until I got the issue and read it. And I thought this was really fucking cool. So yeah, that is number, let's see, 6, I do believe. Pardon me, it's late. It's like 3:30 in the morning. Alright, number 5. This is a series that I'm relatively new to. I've not finished it all the way. It's not even done yet. There's still 2 more issues left in the series. But oh my god, is it fucking hilarious. Garth Ennis the Boys. This is issue 1. And the reason I put this on here, I actually got this at a Salem comic convention about a couple weeks ago in a dollar box. This book you can probably go for about $5-10. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anybody that doesn't know about this series, Garth Ennis wrote it. It's about this anti-superhero group. In this world, Garth Ennis paints superheroes as basically irresponsible children like superheroes with, no sense of humanity and just completely removed. And they have no regard for, like, human life. And this group is out to basically shut those motherfuckers down and keep them in check. And the main character, Billy Butcher, I swear to God, is the coolest fucking comic book character of all time. This man is the epitome of what it means to be a man. I mean, his dialogue in here and the shit he does is absolutely fucking hilarious. And I love it so much. My brother, he's actually an aspiring comic book artist. He's getting ready to go to Joe Kubert School. I had him draw me a version of Billy Butcher and personalize it to me. And it was really cool. So yes, definitely a must-read. You can get the trades. I have most of them. And then I started collecting where I left off at the trades, even though I've not read them all yet. But definitely give that a check. Alright, so I do believe we are on number 4 now. Once again, this is a trade, and I actually found out about this from the comic shop I used to visit, and it was one of those rare occasions nowadays that don't happen too much where I did not find out about this on the internet through no videos or anything. This just found out about this trade just talking to the guys at the comic shop, and we were talking about some of our favorite stories, and they described it to me, and it was really cool, and I bought it and I read it, and it was so fucking cool. And that, my friends, is Wolverine Old Man Logan. I forget exactly what Wolverine issues this collects. Okay, Wolverine 66 through 72, and they did like a giant sized for the conclusion. And this talks about the future when Wolverine is an old man, and apparently I don't want to spoil it, but he basically did some fucked up shit and like renounces being Wolverine, like he will never pop his claws again, and he goes on this journey and basically rediscovers himself as Wolverine. Very, very, very cool story. It has a lot of like the Marvel universe. You see what happens to them through the ages, and the Hulk's in here, and that the way they weave the Hulk into this is fucking hilarious. So pick it up if you've never read it. You can get the trade on like Amazon pretty cheap. Alright, number 3. Back to Todd McFarlane. Growing up, I was a very huge Hulk fan. I identified with the Hulk. I was a fat kid. I was a big kid, but I was like big. It's like, Hulk smash, And I remember my dad, for one of my birthdays, bought me a trade paperback of some Hulk stories, and it was the McFarlane issues from like 340 to 346 or 47. It was called the Ground Zero trade. And this, my friends, is Hulk 340. It was the very first issue in that. This cover, to me, is iconic. When I think of iconic, just amazing covers, this comes to mind. Signed by Todd McFarlane, of course. My Facebook profile picture for a long time was me standing by Todd McFarlane after he held this up and signed it. It was really cool. The way McFarlane drew Hulk, he completely just blows everybody else who's ever touched the character out of the water. And I'm sure a lot of comic book people will hate me for saying that, but whatever. I go off of just what I like. I don't give a fuck about history of comic books, none of that shit. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And it just so happens that this has been my favorite ever. He drew Hulk so mean. Like, that's the only real time I believed him to be like a monster. And the way Peter David wrote the character was just so intense. Like, you could tell Hulk was a bad motherfucker, and you didn't want to fuck with him, and he didn't want to be fucked with. I really believed the character, He just had a very cynical tone to him, and it's just like, oh, I can't get any peace, Then Wolverine shows up, and they battle, and that's classic, and this is where, this is my most memorable Wolverine battle. Fuck Hulk 181. Wolverine looked like a fucking pussycat, and this, he's a badass. But yeah. Alright, so number 2 might surprise some people. I've brought up some kind of classic shit, but this is brand new. And I will never forget my reaction to when I read this book. This is the New 52 Batman number 5. I got it signed by Scott Snyder. Now I'm going to push this series a bit. The Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder team on Batman, I'm going on record right now, is the greatest team to ever work on a Batman book, period. And I know there are going to be a bunch of people that are automatically middle fingers to the screen. Fuck you, Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil. You know what? Neil Adams is a cunt. And Denny O'Neil's storylines have absolutely nothing upon Scott Snyder's. The Court of Owls shit is amazing. But what makes this issue so cool, fuck it, I'm going to pull this out and do a little demonstration. And I do believe, if I remember correctly, this is Greg Capullo's idea. Now, bear with me, my comic's not coming out because it's a cunt comic. But, as you're reading this, first of all, it starts out regular, right? Just normal panels, left to right reading. Halfway through the book, flips sideways. And you start reading sideways, and you're like, huh, that's pretty bitchin'. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, and then it flips completely upside down, and you have to read, let's see, right to left to finish it. And the whole point of this issue is Batman's in this maze with the assassin from the Court of Owls, and he's going insane. And when you're reading the comic book, you start out regular, go side to side, and by the time you finish it, you're upside down on the back. That was so cool. I have never had an experience where I felt so immersed within a comic book. I literally felt like I was in that maze with Batman going insane at that part, The coolest thing I've ever done. I wanted so bad to put this as my number 1. I have never experienced something that cool in a comic book. If you are not collecting the new 52 Batman, you are a fucking dumb ass. Because this is the best comic series that is out right now that is being published. Nothing's even coming close to it. Everything else could be more or less in my eyes shit compared to this book. But there you go. Buy it, read it. You won't regret it. Mm. Number one. Say oops. But number one. It is hard for me to express my adoration for this comic book. This is the greatest comic book that has ever came out, in my opinion. It is the most expressive comic book. The most heart-wrenching. I've never felt such pain within a comic book as I have upon this. And this is one issue, but it stands for the entire run. The original Crow. This is issue 1. I met James O'Barr at the very first comic convention I ever got to go to. It was a Charlotte Heroes Con, like back in 08 or 09 or some shit. And I had seen The Crow, the movie. I had read the comic, fucking loved it. And I heard James O'Barr was going to be there. And me and my brother really wanted to meet him really bad. And we expected that he would be like this big hit, you know. So, oh my God, it's James O'Barr, you know. We're going to have to stand in line for hours, but we don't give a fuck. We're going to meet him. And we show up, and we find his table, and there's not even a line for him. The motherfucker's just sitting there. So I said, okay, he's going to be here. I ran out to the convention. I started scouting. Who's got Crow issues? Who's got Crow issues? Found this guy. I got this fucker for 20 bucks. It is in great shape. There is nothing wrong with this book. I've seen this book go close to 100 and over at other comic conventions. These Caliber Comics issues are insane to find. And I lucked out. I picked it up for 20 bucks at the same convention he was at. You never hear that. You know, usually if a artist or a writer is at a convention, their books at that convention skyrocket because people want to buy them to get signed, right? So I got this and I take it up and we start talking. Me and my brother went up to him. James O'Barr is hands down the coolest person I've ever met at a comic convention. One of the only people that could come close is Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder reminded me a lot of James O'Barr, just really down to earth. Did not feel like some, you know, celebrity. I'm better than you at all. And we talked, and he talked about this book. We talked about music. He told us about some of his up-and-coming projects, and he signed my book, and I got pictures with him. But now more about the book. You know, The Crow. When you read this, you feel his pain because, see, James O'Barr had a girlfriend that died. Yeah, he lived a pretty shitty life, and up to that point, it felt like, you know, everything had been wrong for him. He met this girl, having a great time, and then one day she got hit by a drunk driver and died. And his therapy for getting through that was writing The Crow, which is kind of a similar story about boyfriend, girlfriend, Eric Draven and Shelley, and they're in love, young, happy couple, perfect relationship, and these druggies basically at random one night are going down this road and basically decide to kill him. So he comes back to life and it goes from there. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but oh my God, if you have not read The Crow, fuck the Brandon Lee movie compared to this. Buy the trade and read it. You will never regret it. They even have just put out a special edition version of the trade with extra pages in it that he was not able to put in the original series because of space constraints. And beautiful, beautiful art. It's black and white, all of it. I think the most passed around comic book I've passed around is my trade of The Crow. I give it to all my friends. They're like, what do I start out with? I'm like, here, read it. And they love it. So yeah, before this video, my video is about a 20-minute mark, so that's my top 10 comics. I hope you guys enjoyed. I plan on making more comic book videos. I'm still going to do my late night ramblings videos, philosophize with Dip in. And I'm also thinking about doing some album reviews for music I like too. But anyway, thank you for watching, you know, all 6 and 7 of you guys. I think I have 12 subscribers, and out of them, like 7 of them watch my videos religiously. But, I appreciate it. This is just fun for me. But, this is Ivan Bates signing off at the 20-minute mark. Deuces, motherfucker!